From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, April the 8th, 2024. Yesterday, April the 7th, marked 6 months since the horrific massacre of October the 7th, where Hamas terrorists launched a brutal attack on Israel, slaughtering 1,200 men, women, and children, and taking over 250 men, women, and children hostage, 133 of whom still remain in captivity in Gaza. Some 260 IDF soldiers have been killed in Israel's battle of self-defense against Hamas in the ground operation in Gaza, including 4 IDF soldiers killed in fighting on Saturday. 21-year-old Captain Ido Baruch, 20-year-old Sergeant Amitai Evan Shoshan, 20-year-old Sergeant Eli Zair, and 20-year-old Sergeant Rif Harush. IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant Colonel Herzi Halevi mourned the loss in remarks yesterday, saying that in the past 6 months we are paying a heavy price in a very just war on our home. We lost many fighters and commanders. Also yesterday, unfortunately, 4 fighters fell during the fighting in Khan Yunis. He said the 7th of October is a watershed moment in Israeli security. We began to investigate the complex events of this day. We will learn and make decisions. The IDF, he said, needs to be stronger, bigger, so that what happened on October the 7th will not happen again. And with reports of IDF troops withdrawing from Gaza, Halevi reassured that the war in Gaza continues and we are far from stopping. Senior Hamas officials are still in hiding, he said. We will get to them sooner or later. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu marked the somber milestone as well in a government meeting yesterday, saying we will never forget the horrific crimes of the Hamas monsters who still hold hostage 133 of our brothers and sisters. He said, I have made it clear to the international community there will be no ceasefire without the return of the hostages. And he said, I welcome the fact that the Biden administration made it clear on Friday that this still is its position as well. This evening, Netanyahu released a statement that he received a detailed report on the talks taking place in Cairo to try and reach a hostage deal, and said tonight we are working constantly to attain our objectives. First and foremost, the release of all our hostages and the achieving of total victory over Hamas. This victory, he said, requires entering Rafah and eliminating the terrorist battalions there. This will happen. There is a date. The IDF this weekend retrieved the remains of a hostage who was murdered in captivity in Gaza. Elad Katsir was abducted from kibbutz Nir Oz by the Islamic Jihad terrorist organization, the IDF said, during the massacre on October the 7th. His mother, also kidnapped, was released on November the 24th. His father, Avraham, was murdered during the massacre. The IDF said, according to intelligence, Elad was murdered by Islamic Jihad in captivity. Our mission since the beginning of the war has been and remains to locate and bring the hostages home. We will continue to operate until it is complete. A 19-year-old female IDF soldier was seriously injured in a terror shooting attack in Samaria, the West Bank, yesterday, where a Palestinian terrorist opened fire on a bus and a car. The IDF said as a result of the shooting, the IDF soldier was seriously injured. She was taken to the hospital for medical treatment. A civilian was also lightly hurt in the shooting incident. Ynet reports that the soldier was improving and now breathing on her own, though remaining in intensive care. And IDF troops continue to defend the northern border with Lebanon as rockets continue to be fired at northern Israel from terror group Hezbollah. The IDF said it eliminated a senior field commander in Hezbollah's Radwan force overnight last night. The IDF saying he was responsible for planning and carrying out terrorist attacks against Israeli civilians in northern Israel. The IDF also responded to rockets and an explosive drone belonging to Hezbollah that this morning it said crossed Lebanese territory and fell in an open area in the area of Rosh Hanikra. There were no casualties. Well, marking the tragic and unfathomable 6 months of captivity for the remaining hostages, this weekend rallies took place in Israel and around the world, calling for their immediate release, including here in the United States in Washington, D.C., for example, joined by Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid, and in New York City, where some 1,000 people gathered at Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza near the United Nations, including members of Congress, local officials, released and rescued hostages, including Louis Har, rescued by the IDF after 129 days in captivity in Gaza, who said yesterday all 133 hostages that are still in Gaza must come back home. I can't start my healing process until everybody is back home. None of us can. And hostage family members were present as well, including Rachel Goldberg-Polin, mother of American-Israeli Hirsch, who has been a constant and stalwart figure advocating for the hostages, who gave an emotional speech on the unthinkable 6-month milestone.
My name is Rachel. Many of you have heard me say before that every morning I put on my costume and pretend to be a human. But today, my costume didn't work. And so, to be honest with you, my friends, and you are all my friends, today I'm just too broken. Today I just can't.
Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Monday, April the 8th at 7 o'clock, a discussion on why Judaism from the Limmud Conference. At 8, Abigail Pogrebin speaks with Shalom Hartman Institute President Rabbi Dr. Donniel Hartman to discuss who are the Jews and who can we become, his book that offers a solution to contemporary challenges through the creation of a new shared Jewish history. At 9, Peter Yarrow is on L'chaim. At 10, it's Good Week Israel. At 10:30, an encore of this newscast. And coming up next, it's Good Week Israel as well. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, April the 8th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.